Hi.
Hi, how are
Going?
you?
I'm good. How are you? You're so pretty.
Aw, so are you, Miss YouTube Artist on the Rise?
Thank you.
So it's the morning after your new single. How do you
Yes.
feel?
I feel great. I'm so excited to put out this song. It has been a long time.
Okay, honestly, I listened to the song last night and I'm obsessed with it. Like, it's
Thank
genuinely
you.
a song that it's so catchy. I've had this on repeat in my head.
Thank you so much. This song I literally made 2 years ago and it's been stuck in my head and I'm always singing it to myself. So I can't wait to not be sounding like I'm crazy.
It's so good. Like, I've worked in radio for such a long time and I could hear it on the radio.
Thank you so much. It is my dream to be on the radio. I hope so.
Of course, you're gonna get there, girl. And what led? Tell me about the making of this single because you made it 2 years ago. So like,
Yeah.
what led to it? Why did you hold on to it for so long?
Why did I hold on to it for so long? Because of COVID. Um, I feel like that is a common thing with artists right now. But
Yeah.
what led to it is so all my music is super personal, and this has a backstory, just like all of my songs. I basically met this very cute British guy at a party, and he asked me out. We were gonna meet at a wine bar at 9. And I show up at 9:05, just a little late,
Yeah.
and he doesn't show up. He doesn't text, fully stands me up.
Oh
And I'm
my.
sitting there, I like drink my wine for an hour and then I walk home like so sad. And then the next day I'm at the studio and I'm like, why would I why do I still kind of want to go out with him? Like that's so messed up. And I'm like, why the perfect first move for him to stand me up? Like what? And then I was like, okay, I need to write a song about how messed up this whole thing is. So
Wait. First of all, no girl deserves to get stood up.
thank
Second of all, that level of toxicity where you're more attracted to assholes is so relatable. Why?
it's
Why are girls like that?
okay, it's so bad too because I'm so like, girl, know your worth. Like I'm like literally that's what all of my music is about. Like I make it to literally sing to yourself in the mirror when you need that confidence boost. Um, but I don't know, sometimes the chase is just fun.
Yeah. No, and you're still young enough to recoup from it. So wait, I once heard that you described your music as sad bitch slash bad bitch.
Yeah.
Love that. That's like every girl, right? Like we go from being like crying in your room to like, wait, do you know who we are? Like, I love that.
Thank you. I saw a meme the other day that was basically like me always, and it was like divided in two, and one of them, it was like when somebody says I like you, half of it is like of course you do, and then the other half of it is like but why?
I know. It's like I'm either crying in my room or saying like I'm an amazing woman that deserves the
Yeah,
world.
exactly.
Um, you mentioned that you held on to your song because of COVID. Do you feel like COVID kind of like, did you create art during this time or do you feel like it kind of hurt your art?
I
I know a lot of people said that sometimes like the reverse happened where like being held inside for so long just like helped you create. How do you
yeah.
feel?
I actually didn't really write songs during this time. It was kind of the only time during my life since I started making music that I didn't make any music, but I instead started writing a lot of poetry and I got into making videos and just making a whole bunch of different kinds of art. Like the music video that came out with Gasoline, I made that during quarantine and edited it myself just
Okay.
because I got into that. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
And now that I've gotten back to writing music in the last couple months, I feel I feel like I've grown so much through writing poetry and through doing other kinds of art. So I think it's actually been really creative, just not in the way that I was used to.
Yeah. Well, do you feel like writing music or writing songs is like a lot like writing poetry? Like, would you ever turn any of those poems into songs?
Yeah, I already have.
Oh, okay.
I'm lyric based in my music and in my writing just because like that is super important to me and I just am such a firm believer in the power of pop music and I feel like a lot of pop music doesn't utilize the space in lyrics. And so poetry is a really great way for me to kind of gather my thoughts and prepare for what I'm going to say in songs.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about that. Like, what do you mean when you say that pop music doesn't utilize lyrics? Would you, or who are some examples of people that you do think utilize lyrics, like Taylor Swift?
Yes, I mean, yeah, hell yeah. I think anybody that, well, if you think about it, like these kids, the catchiest songs, the ones that are playing on the radio all day long, these kids, before they know what these words mean, are singing these lyrics all day long to themselves, to their friends. And a lot of the time, these lyrics are not only like not really saying anything, but often promoting bad messages. And I think that that's just whack because there's so much good to spread in the world, even if it's not just like, even if, and it doesn't, like my song Gasoline is not like preaching, it's not good at all, but it's more just like bringing to light a truth that we all share.
Yeah.
And like somebody like Amy Winehouse, who is my favorite artist ever, like she is so vulnerable in her music, and because of that you can feel it so much. And that, for me, when I'm like having a bad day or when I'm really like not feeling it and I listen to that, like it does something for me,
Yeah.
more just kind of like, let's
Yeah.
get vibes, you know?
Yeah, I love that. I actually noticed that in your music. Like I was saying to myself, like you're so intentional is the word I would your music, and you're very purposeful. Like every song I have noticed like you are saying something, and even with the music video or the art that you put out with it, it's very intentional. So is that something that like you've decided you wanted to do, like even with the music videos you're creating to each song?
Yeah, I'm super I'm crazy about all of it. I'm just, like annoyingly perfectionistic with it, but that's just because like I really, as I said, like all of these lyrics and these songs and these stories really come from my life and the way that I feel, and I need it to be authentic to how I actually feel, or I just can't sleep at night.
Well, it shows in your art. Like it's noticeable, like your attention to detail. So that's amazing.
Much, thank you.
Of course. Let's talk about, speaking of being intentional with your music. So your song F Yourself, I loved it because first of all, made by all women, which I loved. And it's talking about really women's issues and kind of the issues that women face in this male dominated world. What led to you, by the way, happy International Women's Month.
Yes.
What led to you wanting to do that, or what made you want to do that?
Well, that song I actually wrote before I wrote any of my other songs.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I wrote that song when I was 18 by myself in my bedroom, and it was kind of like at the peak of the Me Too movement.
Okay.
I had just finished my freshman year in college, and I'd been through a bunch of stuff myself and just was like really frustrated and disgusted and angry. And the song just kind of came out, honestly. And I was like, okay, I know I want to do something with this at some point, but now's not the time.
Yeah.
And once I had created my other music, I just like, as I said, I just like, women's empowerment is so important to me. And I am such a proponent of using music as a space to say things, because like when you go out and seek a platform, like I believe that you should be doing it for a reason.
Absolutely.
And me, I'm so blessed to have such amazing female role models, and to grow up in a world, to grow up and realize that the world doesn't give females the respect that I believe they deserve. I just find that extremely frustrating. And so things just kind of clicked, because also the person who produces most of my music, or who has produced most of the stuff that has come out, is a woman. So shout out, her name's Pom Pom.
Shout out.
Yes. But it just kind of like worked. I played her the song. She loved it. We made it together, and here we are.
What story was it that triggered it, or like what happened to you that triggered it?
It was like a lot of different things. I mean, I like, just for personal reasons, don't really want to go into like the specifics of it, but I experienced something myself, and then also I had a couple friends who had like freshman year of college sexual assault experiences, and it just, I just, with the Me Too movement happening and all of my, and like my friends going through it, I just was like, oh my God, how can this be so common and
Yeah.
so about?
With
And
every I think that's why it's amazing you using your voice in music, or even like when people are telling their stories on social media, because then you're like, wow, this is happening to all of us.
Mm-mm. And it's like, how could a year ago I thought that this was kind of like a myth, or like a happens to a few women, and then now I feel like every single woman I encounter has an experience with it. And that's what I found, like every single woman has at least, I mean, to varying degrees. And
Yeah.
I know my experience is tiny in comparison to so many other women, and I couldn't even imagine what some of them go through, but every single woman has an experience with it. And it's just like, until the Me Too movement, we literally didn't talk about it.
I know, that's crazy to think about. Well, going back to that, you're in the music industry. I work in the music industry. I know that it's a very male dominated industry. Even
Mm-hmm.
a host, I've experienced so much as
Mm-hmm.
not only a woman, but like a young artist. Like, what has your experience been like in a male dominated industry?
Yeah.
You wrote that song even before, like, that was before you even started, like, in the business of music.
I mean, I actually started doing sessions and writing professionally when I was like 16. So I'd been kind of for a while, and I found myself in a lot of positions where I was in the room and male producers kind of, I would be like, I want to do this, and they'd be like, okay, like, and then do something totally different, because it's this idea like, oh, you're a young girl, like you don't know what you want, like, and I just hate that energy and I hate that egotism. And so I am so glad that I was exposed to that early, because I kind of shifted gears and made sure that I just realized, like, if I'm gonna, in order for me to create the music that I am gonna love, I'm gonna have to be vulnerable. And who do I feel comfortable being vulnerable around? I need to figure that out, and I need to stick with those people. And so it just happened that I met this producer, Pom Pom, who was the first female producer I worked with out of dozens of producers. And I mean, it's not just because she's a woman, it's because she's dope and because she's
Yeah.
great. But like, it was her and this songwriter, Jessie, and we've done pretty much everything together, and it's because they're my best friends. Like, they were here last night celebrating the release with me.
That's awesome. So you said you started doing sessions when you were 16. When did you know you wanted to pursue music? Like, how did that begin for you?
So randomly, like, basically, I was on YouTube one night when I was 13, and I was just bored and started watching like acoustic videos of like whatever singers, like Demi Lovato, Selena Gomez, like Miley Cyrus, like all these Disney girls at the time. And I don't know, I just like something about their vulnerability, and like I just went on such a deep dive of like kind of sad ballady songs,
Yeah.
connected to the lyrics so much, because at the time too, I like had a bunch of mental health stuff. I mean, I am such a proponent for that, because I have a lot of that in my life, and like I felt so freaking lonely, like in my seventh grade, try like talking about fake stuff all day long, and I'm like, why don't I connect with anybody? And then I like heard these lyrics from these artists, and like watched, just like heard their words, and I was like, why do I feel like you know me? Like I feel attacked. And then I was like, whatever they're doing, I need to do that. And
Yeah.
so I just literally decided in a weekend, I got to do that.
That's so crazy because your voice is phenomenal. Like, you would think that, like, working on it since you were like 3 years old.
Thank you so much. I was not a good singer when I started at all. I just like trained, you
Yeah.
know.
After you like decided, or you saw those videos and you wanted to like pursue that, when did it become like a super serious thing for you where you were like, oh, this is happening? Like, what was that moment for you where you were like, this is it, I'm doing this?
um I think, I mean, for me, I was old enough when I decided that. Like, I know 13 sounds really young, but like when I made that decision, I was like, I'm doing this. And I
Yeah.
don't care what you guys think of me. I know I'm 13, but I'm doing this. And so I just like, I mean, I guess at the end of my freshman year of high school, when like the high schoolers were kind of like trying to or the high schoolers were like doing their high school thing, and I just realized like I'm not doing that and I don't really want to do that, and like what am I doing instead? I'm doing music. Okay, I'm doing this.
That's crazy. So I also saw that like you're still in school, right?
Yeah, I went back to school actually.
Okay, so tell me about that. Like, what are you studying in school?
Yeah, well, basically, this goes back to my song "Fuck Yourself," oddly enough, and I swear I can thank TikTok for sending me back to school. Anyways, basically, so I left school. I did 2 years at NYU at the Clive Davis Institute, which is like the recorded music program. Maggie Rogers went there, which is like that's where that video happened. So that was great, but I left when I signed, and I did like I guess a year and a half not being in school, and that was great. But in November, I uploaded my song or a clip of my song "Fuck Yourself" to TikTok, and a bunch of women started telling me their sexual assault stories, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is
Amazing.
like this is amazing, but it's also a huge responsibility." And like as I said, feminism and well, I want to separate the idea of the feminist movement, which has like a very loaded history, and
Yeah.
of women's rights. But like women's rights in general are like I need to be somebody who speaks up about these things. But if I am going to set the example that I hope people will follow, I need to be educated about it. And I'm just not. Or like I know a good amount, but like there's only so much that you can teach yourself online, kind of thing. Like you can teach yourself things, but like I just was like, I really want to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I am now back. I reapplied to go back to NYU, and I switched to the Gallatin program, which is like the individualized study program. And I am studying on top of building on top of my foundation in music to study culture, music, or like I'm calling it the monetization of self-expression in society.
Okay.
So really like the business side of things plus the cultural side of things with a focus on art and women's studies.
Wow, that is so amazing. You are
Thank
well equipped for the future.
you. I'm just trying to show women that you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's amazing, especially if you are gonna have like a voice to be able to do that. That's amazing to have like the right information. Did you ever watch that show about the women's rights movement? Was it Mrs. America? Miss America?
No,
You didn't? You
no, I
have to watch it. It's all about the women's rights movement and the whole 70s era. And I'm gonna send you a DM about it after because you will love it. It's phenomenal. It was like on HBO or something. It was so good.
oh my God, I just watched the Billie Holiday documentary with Andra Day, the United States versus Billie Holiday.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I have first of all, I've not been affected by something in so by like a piece of art for
Yeah.
me so long, but like her story as a woman, as an African American, as a pioneer of the civil rights movement, basically like the government was trying to do anything to get her to stop singing the song Strange Fruit because it spoke about lynching in the South,
Yeah.
and she would not stop singing it because it was extremely important for her to speak up, and it kind of led to the end of her life in a lot of ways. And like that is just, we don't know that story
Yeah. There's so many stories we don't know. That's
about
amazing.
about figures that we love.
Yeah. I'm definitely out. You have to send me that too so that I can remember.
It's on Hulu. It just came out.
Yeah. Speaking of like works of art that you're inspired by, like who would you say are artists right now that kind of like hold that place for you or like inspiring you?
Mm-hmm. Favorite artist, like other than Amy Winehouse, right? Is Lana Del Rey. I love
Okay.
Lana.
See
She's
that.
poet queen. We love her. And then also as far as like newer artists go, I love Rayami. I love my good friend Alice Longu Gao. Sorry, it's kind of loud outside. Um they both make fire music. I love like all the R&B girls.
Yeah.
Ari,
You have
Ari,
R&B in you.
thank you. I
Who would you
love
want to collab with, if you could like collaborate with anybody right now?
Oh my God. First person that came to mind was Georgia Smith.
Oh, wow. I would love your guys' voices together.
I love
I
her.
love her too. I'm like obsessed with her.
God, she's like, first of all, so hot. Like, icon. Love
Yeah.
that. And then also her voice is just like,
Yeah, it's so unique and like
you
it's
know, I feel like we would work well together too because we're both such Amy stans, so we could just bond
yeah.
over.
Your voice is kind of like that too. It's like this very like amazing, unique voice. I love it.
Sorry, I got like my phone's running out. Okay, so that's why.
It's totally okay. So what do we have coming up from you? Like what can we expect after Gasoline? Like are you going to drop more singles or is there like an album coming out?
Well, I have an EP coming out next month. The
Okay.
next come out is the EP. And I am so excited. There is oh my God, the all of me wants to just spill everything right now, but I cannot. But
Can you anything like tell us anything about it? Like any little tidbit?
well, the EP is called The Blue, and it is basically the epitome of bad bitch, sad bitch, as I said, as we were talking about. And it's kind of like the idea that the blue is the ocean of my deepest thoughts. So it's just like all of me, the good, the bad, the ugly. Um,
I love that.
Thank you. And it's very female dominated in many ways. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay. I love that you're so intentional with like your names and everything. Like your last EP was called To All the Boys That Didn't Text Me Back, which I already love. Was that all inspired by true stories as well?
Oh, that whole EP is one story.
Oh, wow. One guy.
Yeah.
Oh my.
And I actually and like all the little crowd samples and whatever, or the bridge of silence, there's like a crowd sample in it, and then the beginning of I Don't Want to Know, there are like people, you can hear people talking. That's that guy. And the way that he found out that I liked him, because I never told him, was because I had to ask him to sign a release form to use that in.
So then what happened after that, after you asked him to sign the release form?
Oh, by that, I mean, he signed it. He was so nice. I honestly, like, he dealt with it so well. I would have been so freaked out. I was like, oh my God, I literally sound insane right now. Like, just so you know, I liked you a lot last year, and I actually wrote this whole EP about you, and actually used your voice too. Can you sign this release form?
That's
But
hilarious.
he was so nice. And by that point, I was just like, screw you. Bye.
He didn't make a move on you after that?
No.
Oh my goodness. So how's your heart now? Are you single? Are you heartbroken? Are you dating?
I am so single and lonely, I gotta say.
Well, listen, all of us during COVID.
Yes, literally.
At least you have your music to let out everything in.
Exactly. I just like really fantasize, and like I fantasize about all these like potential love stories, and I write songs about them, and that's my love life.
I love it. So where do you see yourself in like 5 years, like ideally?
Um, I hope to be touring,
Okay.
and I hope to be doing what I'm doing now at a huge scale and connecting with tons of people in person. And I just really want to start a freaking movement of bad bitches who are saying what they think and demanding the respect that they deserve from the people around them, from themselves, and from the law.
I'm here for it. I completely support you and I see it happening for you. Thank you for talking to me. Everybody needs to go listen to Gasoline right now.
Listen to Gasoline.
It's so good. Like I promise you, like I am such a stan of you. Your voice is just amazing. I 1000% you.
I appreciate that. Much love. Thank you for having me.
Of course, and I'm gonna DM you that show right now.
Please do, and I'll send you the Billie Holiday thing.
Yes. Okay. Thanks for talking to me.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.